Welcome to FinStecks from Laura and Anthony. Today we're tackling a really significant issue, one that's generating a lot of discussion. We're looking at potential moves by the U.S. government aimed at addressing the declining birth rate. You're probably here because you want to get a solid handle on what's being proposed, why it matters, and, get up to speed quickly. And that's exactly what we're aiming for today.
Yeah, it's definitely a topic worth exploring. And the numbers, well, they're quite striking when you look at them.
Yeah.
The U.S. fertility rate, it's really at a historic low point right now.
A low point. How low are we talking?
Well, just in 2023, we saw the general fertility rate drop by about 3%. That resulted in around 3.59 million births.
Okay.
And that's actually the lowest number of births recorded since 1979.
Wow, since 1979. That's quite a long time.
It is. And if you zoom out a bit, look at the slightly longer trend, we're down roughly 20% from the peak we saw back in 2007.
20%. Okay, so this isn't just a small dip. It's a really significant sustained trend then.
Exactly. And it's broad, too. It's affecting women across quite a wide age range, basically from their 20s right through to their late 30s.
Right. So what's driving it? What are the experts saying is behind this decline?
That's really the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Hmm.
And it seems to be a mix of things, a confluence of factors, as they say. Economic anxieties, worries about money, they're definitely part of the picture. We're also seeing people choosing to start families later in life than they used to.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe more fundamentally, there seems to be a shift in social attitudes, where maybe not having children or choosing to have fewer children is just becoming more socially acceptable.
Interesting. So societal norms are changing too.
Yeah, and you layer onto that the very real pressures of rising housing costs,
Yeah.
the incredibly high cost of childcare.
Always a factor.
Definitely. Plus, ongoing difficulties finding truly flexible career options, especially for women, and maybe a general feeling that there isn't enough public support for families.
So it sounds like a combination of economic pressures, changing values, and maybe a lack of structural support.
That sums it up pretty well. It feels like more than just a temporary blip tied to an economic downturn. It seems like a deeper societal shift.
Okay, so given that backdrop, let's talk about the potential responses. We're hearing about some specific policy ideas. One getting a lot of attention is this proposal for a $5,000 baby bonus.
Yes, that one certainly made headlines. It's a straightforward idea. A $5,000 payment for new mothers. And it got a boost when former President Trump reportedly commented on it, saying something like, "Sounds like a good idea to me."
Right.
This is being framed as one potential tool in a larger toolkit of what are often called pronatalist policies.
Pronatalist policies.
Yeah, basically government strategies designed specifically to encourage people to have more children to boost the birth rate.
Got it. Okay, and then there's another proposal that's stirred up even more debate, it seems, the National Medal of Motherhood.
Ah, yes, that one. It certainly sparked conversation. The idea is to create a national medal to specifically honor American mothers who have 6 or more children.
6 or more. Okay. And the controversy stems from...
It stems mainly from historical parallels.
Mhm.
Some critics immediately drew comparisons to similar kinds of awards or medals used by authoritarian regimes in the past to promote higher birth rates.
Like where?
Well, the most cited examples are Nazi Germany's Cross of Honor of the German Mother, introduced around 1939 for women with, I believe, 8 or more children deemed racially suitable,
Oof.
and Stalin's Order of Maternal Glory in the Soviet Union from 1944 for mothers with 7 or more children. The association with those regimes makes people uncomfortable, understandably.
Yeah, those historical links definitely give you pause. But is that the whole story? Are there other contexts for this kind of thing?
That's a fair point. It's worth noting that honoring motherhood, even with medals, isn't exclusively tied to those regimes. France, for example, has had a medal recognizing mothers of large families since 1920, the Médaille de la Famille Française.
Okay, so not just authoritarian states.
Right. And even within the U.S., there's a history of recognizing and celebrating motherhood, though perhaps differently. There was apparently a Smithsonian medal back in 1909. We have organizations like American Mothers, Inc., which has run a Mother of the Year program since the 1930s. And other groups like the American Lung Association have given out Outstanding Mother Awards.
So the key difference here seems to be the specific focus on the number of children, 6 or more.
Exactly. That explicit link to a high number of children is what really sets this proposal apart from existing U.S. traditions and what fuels much of the debate around its symbolism and intent.
Right, makes sense. Now, beyond the baby bonus and the medal, what other kinds of tonatalist ideas are being considered?
Well, there are a few other things that have been floated as part of this broader focus on family formation. Ideas like potentially reserving a portion, say 30%, of Fulbright scholarships, specifically for applicants who are married or already parents.
Mm.
There's also talk about possibly funding educational programs about menstrual cycles, presumably linked to family planning understanding, and looking again at enhancing existing child tax credits, making them perhaps more generous or accessible.
So a wider range of potential levers being considered.
Yes, the overall rationale seems to be driven by this concern within parts of the administration about the low fertility rates and a desire to actively support family formation.
And this concern isn't just within the administration, right? We're hearing similar worries from others.
Absolutely. Prominent figures, people like Vice President J.D. Vance, even someone like Elon Musk, have publicly voiced worries about demographic trends, sometimes framing it quite starkly as a potential civilizational crisis if birth rates stay this low.
Strong words.
Indeed. And while there was a tiny uptick in the fertility rate reported for 2024, less than 1% increase, the overall picture hasn't changed much. The total fertility rate, or TFR, is sitting around 1.62 children per woman.
And the replacement rate is.
The replacement rate, the level needed just to keep the population stable without immigration, is generally considered to be 2.1.
So we're still significantly below that level.
Significantly below, yes.
Yeah.
And that persistent gap has real long-term implications people are thinking about.
Like what?
Well, things like an aging population, putting increasing strain on Social Security and healthcare systems because you have fewer working-age people supporting a larger group of retirees,
Right.
and potential impacts on long-term economic growth simply due to having a smaller future workforce and consumer base, even
Yeah.
effects on things like community engagement and vitality.
So to wrap up, we're seeing these specific proposals, the bonus, the medal, changes to scholarships, tax credits, emerge against this backdrop of historically low U.S. birth rates.
Exactly. Driven by a complex mix of economic factors, social shifts, and maybe insufficient support structures.
It's certainly a complex situation. Watching these potential policy responses take shape, it really makes you think about the long-term path we're on demographically and the role government might, or maybe shouldn't, play in choices that are ultimately very personal. Definitely something to keep watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.